Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I'm Letitia Theora. I hope that you're having a great day. Today I will be reviewing Joe Biden, Promise Me Dad. Joe Biden, Promise Me Dad is a memoir about the now President Joe Biden's account of how he and his family learned about his oldest son, Beau Biden's early stages of brain cancer. It is about the challenges and concerns that Joe Biden and his family face concerning Beau Biden's illness and how Joe Biden continued to balance his duties as vice president while he and his family managed and cared for Beau Biden as he received the medical care needed for his illness until his untimely death. President Joseph Robert Biden Jr. was born on November 20th, 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He represented Delaware for 36 years in the U.S. Senate before becoming the 47th Vice President of the United States of America. Here's a little backstory. You may or may not have known that during President Biden's childhood years, he had a speech impediment. During his high school years, his classmates nicknamed him Joe Impedimenta and Dash. But he said with a lot of hard work, determination, and support from teachers and family, he beat it. If you want to know more about President Joe Biden's earlier years, you may also want to read Joe Biden Promises to Keep, one of his many books. Another known fact, while Joe Biden was a newly elected 30-year-old United States Senator, his first wife, Nelia Hunter Biden, and their 18-month-old daughter, Naomi, died in a car accident. Both of his sons, Beau and Hunter, were also in the car, but survived without permanent damage. He was sworn into U.S. Senate at his son's hospital bedsides. Years later, he met Jill Jacobs. They got married in 1997 and had their daughter, Ashley, 4 years later. Joe Biden's oldest son, Joseph Robinette Beau Biden III, was born on February 3rd, 1969 in Wilmington, Delaware. He was twice elected Delaware Attorney General, an American politician, lawyer, and officer in the Army Judge Advocate General's Courts. He was married to Haley Biden and had 2 children, Natalie Naomi and Robert Biden II. The book begins during one of the Biden's annual traditional Thanksgiving vacations to Nantucket, which is an island in Massachusetts, a Native American word which means faraway place. And there's a very interesting story about how this family tradition began. In the summer of 2013, when Beau Biden first saw the scans that showed a lesion on his brain, he was relieved to finally have an explanation of what was happening to him. 3 years earlier, he had awakened one morning experiencing stroke-like symptoms. He was rushed to the hospital where scans showed a clot in his brain. But soon after the stroke symptoms ceased, there was no longer any sign of the clot and no lasting symptoms. A few years later, after having feelings of dizziness, and when the stroke-like symptoms returned, doctors saw another tumor on a scan. They took him back to their home hospital in Philadelphia, where the doctors knew him, did a battery of tests and scans, presented a range of possible diagnoses, and then told them to prepare for the worst. So 2 other doctors, one of whom they called Doc, an Army doctor, got on the phone with experts to find the best place to send him for treatment. Later at the cancer center, diagnosticians tried to determine what type of cancer he had. Another brain scan determined that it was possibly the worst. And at this point, Beau, truly knowing the magnitude of his situation, was more concerned about everybody else in the family. And as they wheeled him into the brain suite, he said to Doc, "Promise me that you'll take care of Pop." And Doc tells Beau that he'll be around to take care of his dad. And so after the surgery, it was determined to be the worst case. This is a very heartbreaking story, but also inspiring. Later, Joe Biden, being a concerned father, pulled the doctor aside and asked him, what should his son do now? And how should he live? And the doctor said he should live with purpose. He should go home, do whatever he was going to do before the diagnosis. And then Joe Biden tells him that Beau was planning to run for governor of Delaware. And then the doctor says, then tell him to go run for governor. Maybe he didn't say it like that. And then the doctor said that he should live like he's going to live. And then later, with the rest of the family listening to the doctor, he said, we should not let this disease take over our entire existence. He told Beau to go home and live like he had a future. Run for governor. Have a purpose. And this message resonated with everyone. Vice President Joe Biden knew that he couldn't let his son Beau's battle consume him or his whole world would collapse. And he didn't want to let down the country, the Obama administration, his family, and most importantly, Beau. And then here and there throughout the rest of the book, the story goes back and forth between Beau Biden's illness and Vice President Joe Biden's career duties, both events happening during the same times. Biden talks about when he agreed to do the eulogies for police officers Wayne J. Liu and Rafael Ramos, the two police officers who were shot and killed by a lone gunman while they sat quietly in their patrol car in Brooklyn, New York. You may remember a 46-year-old Eric Garner, who is well known for his statement to police officers, "I can't breathe." It was during the time after Garner was killed that a more than 2-week demonstration against police brutality in the city was provoked. And unfortunately, 2 good police officers were senselessly murdered. Biden also talks about meeting both of the families. Biden talks about the president being one of the few people that he talked to about Beau's battle with cancer, and about having to travel secretly to Houston or Philadelphia for his son Beau's procedures and consultations, since Beau wanted to keep everything private. After Beau made it to his 46th birthday and exceeded the 12 to 14 month timeline of survival for someone with this particular type of cancer, which was said to be the worst, Vice President Joe Biden thought that it was best for him to stay busy during his time. So it's his way for dealing with Beau's diagnosis. He made an arrangement with his chief of staff, Richetti, to keep him on the schedule and busy. This later raised concern with his wife Jill, and she expressed herself. She expressed her concern many times to Richetti and Biden himself. He talks about meeting with Hillary Clinton, who was encouraged by her advisors to meet with Biden to see how she was doing with the president. Biden says he was used as what he called the Obama whisperer. They also agreed that whether they both ran for the same nomination, have run a negative campaign against each other. In Chapter 7, Calculated Risk, Vice President Joe Biden talks about helping Prime Minister Abadi with military assistance because Abadi was in danger of losing control of a pivotal fight against the vicious new malignancy of terror growing in the Middle East. His request was consequential both to Iraq and to the United States. Farther on throughout the book, Vice President Joe Biden said that they all knew how much Beau wanted him to run for president more than anything. Hunter also expressed to him that what worried Beau most was that if the worst happened, that they would give up, which is what the promise is about. Beau said, "Promise me, Dad, that whatever happens, that you will live your life. Keep moving forward and doing what you have to do. Promise me, Dad. Promise me that you keep living your life." Later, after viewing Beau's brain scans, the physicians did not like what they saw. After realizing that what was happening in Beau's brain was no longer reversible, it was announced to the family that he will not recover. May 30th at 7:51 p.m. it happened. "My God, my boy, my beautiful boy," is what Joe Biden recorded in his diary. President Barack Obama did the main eulogy for Beau, and Beau's overall commander in Iraq, General Ray O'Donnell, now Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army, also spoke at Beau's funeral. In closing, my take of Joe Biden, "Promise Me, Dad," is about the love of family, having purpose even in the presence of obstruction and despair, having the presence of mind to communicate, and if possible, try to empathize as best as you can to someone else in their situation. Be helpful, learn to trust, keep your mind occupied with good positive work and intentions. Make corrections and allow others to do the same. Nobody's perfect. Keep living your life. I enjoyed this story. It was a good read. It was a bit of a challenge. If you have read this book, what did you think of it? And if you have any suggestions for books that you think that I may like to read, then please comment below, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching and have a great day.